What's up, everybody? NTCertified here, and welcome to the very first installment of a new series that I'm gonna call Certified Slam. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the landscape of WWE. We're gonna pick about 5 or 6 topics in the WWE landscape, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna analyze them. For this first installment, we're gonna talk about a few things. One of them being Brie Bella. Is she Brie mode or is she botch mode? Okay. Another thing that we're going to talk about is Super Showdown and Crown Jewel, the 2 WWE overseas shows. Also, we're going to talk about Roman Reigns. Is Roman Reigns best for business? And also Alberto El Patron. Alberto El Patron was on social media earlier this week, and he was just being rude. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, guys, so I have a lot of notes here. Okay, so first thing we're gonna get into is we're gonna get into Alberto El Patron. So 2 days ago, Alberto posted on Instagram, he was at a restaurant. Okay, and there's a picture that I'm gonna post right here. So as you can see, he's sitting next to a woman in the restaurant, and there's 2 other guys. I'm not sure who the guy on the right is, but the guy on the left looks a lot like Sin Cara, or at least his mask is exactly like a Sin Cara mask. So somebody commented that the woman looks way better than Paige. Okay, so Alberto responded and he says, yes, and this one doesn't have more than 9 police reports against her, or 3 arrests in different states, or committed in 2 mental hospitals like the one you mentioned did. I think he meant to say admitted, but that's besides the point. Okay, we all know about the Paige and Alberto relationship. And from our perspectives, most of us feel like it was a volatile relationship. I mean, let's be honest. I always thought it was weird that Paige proposed to Alberto as opposed to Alberto proposing to Paige. But not to say that there's anything wrong with a woman proposing to a man, but I just thought it was weird, especially seeing that, you know, he's supposed to be the mature one of the relationship. You know, he's the older person, and I felt like she was just kind of, I don't know, I guess she fell in love with an older guy, and she was really young, not thinking straight, and she went ahead and she popped the question, and he said yes. But anyway, so on the Conan podcast, Alberto mentioned that the relationship was kind of hidden. They kind of had it hidden from everybody until somebody from Paige's circle let the cat out of the bag. So ironically, it would always be somebody on Paige's side that wound up being an issue. And that seemed to be like a common thing in their relationship. I don't know. I just feel like Alberto was never mature in the relationship, but I don't know them personally, so I don't know, you know, the nuances and things that happen in their relationship. But to me, it just feels like Alberto was never the mature person. So right now, Paige is over on SmackDown. She's doing her GM thing, you know, living her best life, as people would say. And here we have Alberto, who's taking jabs at her on social media. Like, why would you need to do that, you know, at this point? It's 2018, you know, we're nearing the holiday season. Everybody should be in a good mood, but that's my opinion. You know, he already has a reputation for being a turd, and he's just like fueling that, you know, even more. And I was a fan of Alberto when he was in WWE. Like, I wanted him to be WWE champion. But despite how I felt about him in the ring, he was always like hot and cold outside of the ring. I mean, even, you know, when he left because, you know, somebody called him out of his name, and then he went on the indies, he trashed WWE, ran him into the ground, wound up coming back, beating John Cena for the US title, and he kind of got lost in the shuffle again. Now he's gone again. And now off and on, he's trashing WWE, but then again, he's praising WWE. He's meeting with Vince McMahon, trying to coordinate a comeback. It never happened. So now he's saying that he doesn't need WWE and WWE doesn't need them or doesn't need him. So why is Vince so high on the guy? And why were they even in talks to begin with earlier this year? Something about Alberto just doesn't sit right with me, but we're going to move on. Anyway, let's move on to Brie Bella. Brie mode, or is it botch mode? Okay, so the internet's really in love with Brie Bella right now. Actually not. So if you've been living under a rock, Brie Bella kicked Liv Morgan square in the face on Raw this Monday. Not once, but twice. Okay? Now there were actually, 2 kicks. One connected with the face, but it was the second kick that connected with the face that caused the concussion to Liv Morgan. So Brie Bella is like the center of the hate train right now. Like, people are all over her on social media right now, and I'm sure she's not feeling, too good about everything that she's receiving right now. So many are saying that Brie Bella is overly sloppy in the ring, especially since returning to WWE. She's had a couple mistakes. She kind of roughed up Zelina Vega with the knee to the face. She also botched a suicide dive or a plancha through the ropes, and then she kicks Liv Morgan in the face and causes Liv Morgan to have a concussion. A lot of people were saying that the Bellas should just go away. I mean, me personally, as most people feel that they may have their spots in the company because of who they're dating or who they're married to, being John Cena or previously John Cena and Daniel Bryan. But you got to remember that the Bella Twins have been in the WWE for about 10 years now. They've definitely earned their stripes. They're definitely mainstays in the company. They're overly popular, especially with the females. I mean, they have TV shows, they have brands, they have a little bit of everything. So they've definitely earned their stripes and they've earned their spots in the company. So it's not surprising that they are getting the pushes that they do have, despite them not being amazing in the wrestling ring. And another thing is that everybody's jumping on Brie Bella right now, but nobody's jumping on Seth Rollins when he's injured more than a few people. I mean, look at John Cena when he busted John Cena in the nose with a flying knee. Let's look at Sting with a buckle bomb when he, ripped up Sting's neck. Let's look at Finn Balor at SummerSlam a couple years ago when he did a buckle bomb on Finn Balor and Finn Balor got injured. Rollins even injured himself trying to do sunset powerbomb off the ropes, but nobody jumped on Rollins and said that he was, careless in the ring other than Bret Hart. But that's a completely different story because Bret Hart is just a bitter guy. Okay. But from my perspective, I think that they're both at fault. And Taz mentioned this on his podcast, and Bully Ray also mentioned this as well. It's that when you take a kick, you gotta feed correctly. And a lot of people can say that Brie Bella kicked too high, but I also feel that Liv Morgan, dipped her head a little bit too low, and she connected with 2 kicks to the face. So I feel like it was on both of them, because if Liv was kicked in the face once, I would lift my head up to not be kicked in the face again, and she did not do that. So I don't think it's fair to jump on Brie Bella for kicking Liv in the face. They are professionals. She's been wrestling 10 years. No matter how good she is in the ring, they're both professionals, and they're both gonna move on and grow from this experience. So moving on. The Raw rating. So Monday Night Raw had the lowest rating in history. Think about that. Think about that. Monday Night Raw has been on the air since 1993. 1993. This is the lowest rating in history. Are you kidding me? 2.3 million viewers was the average. Okay, now we all know that Monday Night Raw is having a hard time staying over 3 million viewers. This week was just horrible. 2.3 million viewers. And a lot of people are blaming Roman Reigns for the problems that WWE is having with the ratings. Okay, you can't put the sole blame on Roman Reigns, but we're going to talk about Roman Reigns in a little bit anyway, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. So another reason that I feel like people aren't watching WWE, the main reason is because the storylines are just not that great and the character development is just not that great. That's not to say that WWE is doing a bad job at character development. I think they do a decent job, but I feel like the stories aren't compelling enough where the characters can truly shine. And also, it's Monday Night Football season. So not everybody is going to choose WWE over football. And we've seen this trend year over year over year over year. Now, despite WWE's ratings issues, their stock is up to $96, which is the highest in its history. So the money is flowing in, but the ratings aren't there. Funny that nobody's watching, but the stock is just cruising along. And WWE doesn't seem overly concerned with it either. If the money's coming in, you know, why do they need to put on an amazing product? They're still making the money. Investors are happy. Stock is on the rise. They have no competition. I mean, what else do you want them to do? You want them to create, you know, compelling TV, groundbreaking TV. The only groundbreaking thing that WWE has done in the last couple years is the Women's Revolution. And Becky Lynch is women's champion, by the way. That's amazing. Anyway, so we have the Women's Revolution. Speaking of the Women's Revolution, we have the Evolution pay-per-view coming up. We have 2 main events already, which is probably not going to be the main event of the show. We have Alexa Bliss and Trish Stratus. We have Mickie James and Lita. I don't know why they did Alexa Bliss and Trish Stratus on Raw weeks ago when Evolution's not until next month, but that's besides the point. Evolution is probably going to be headlined by Ronda Rousey, who is a part-timer, which I don't agree with, versus Nikki Bella. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry if I spoiled the main event for you, but that's in the near future. Coming up next weekend, we have WWE Super Showdown. Okay, so now that the network is up and running, WWE is doing all these, you know, special shows. They did Beast in the East, they did Greatest Royal Rumble, they're doing Super Showdown, they're going to do Crown Jewel in October, I think the beginning of November. And they're just doing more shows outside of the US. We have the Mae Young Classic, we have the NXT UK tournament, we had the Cruiserweight Classic, all that good stuff. So next week is Super Showdown. It's going to be a huge show in Australia. And we're going to have Triple H versus The Undertaker in one of the main events. I guarantee you that's probably not going to be the main event. The main event is probably going to have Roman Reigns in it. But we're going to talk about Roman Reigns in a little bit. More importantly is Crown Jewel. Okay, the second show in Saudi Arabia that a lot of people weren't too happy with. A lot of people were upset that WWE was going to Saudi Arabia to begin with, especially seeing that women aren't allowed to compete and women aren't allowed to, you know, show anything, and they don't have the freedoms that we have here in the US. But WWE's making $50 million a show. $50 million a show. That's huge. Huge. And they have a 5-year contract. Greatest Royal Rumble, they made $50 million. Crown Jewel, they're going to make $50 million, million, thousand, million, $50 million. They're going to make $500 million from Saudi Arabia over the next 5 years. And that's huge. So from a business standpoint, that is amazing. Here's what I don't like about Crown Jewel. What I don't like about Crown Jewel is that they are possibly going to give away a huge match that involves Shawn Michaels. Okay, and that's my next topic, is Shawn Michaels, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. Crown Jewel is probably gonna be a huge show. Okay, WWE doesn't even have to sell tickets. The Saudi Arabian government sells the tickets. They do everything. WWE just has to show up, set up, and leave. So in my eyes, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. And they used to do shows overseas in the past. They used to do shows in the UK. They did, anybody remember Insurrection or Rebellion? I used to rent those DVDs and those VHS tapes from my local video store when I was a kid. And those were some decent shows. I mean, you never had any title changes, but you always had a few decent matches. The entrance setups were always pretty cool, even though WWE doesn't do those anymore. But despite anything, they go overseas, they make buku money, especially in Saudi Arabia, and their stock rises and they keep rolling. And that's just the way it is. Now, on to Shawn Michaels. So Shawn Michaels may make a return to WWE, probably because the pay is right. I don't like that idea. I don't like that idea at all. So first, he's going to be special guest referee for The Undertaker and the Triple H match. So rumor is that somehow he's going to get involved in the match, and this is somehow going to lead to a tag match, spoiler alert, of Shawn Michaels and Triple H versus Brothers of Destruction, The Undertaker, and Kane. Where's this match going to happen? Certainly not at Survivor Series. Certainly not at Evolution. It's going to happen at Crown Jewel. Do the Saudi Arabian fans deserve a match of that caliber? In my opinion, I'm going to say no. And here's the reason that I say no. Yes, there are some, diehard fans in Saudi Arabia. Yes, there is. But presentation-wise, when I watched Greatest Royal Rumble, here's what I noticed about the fans that were sitting on the floor area. They were just there. They were just sitting there. They were standing up. They weren't looking at the show. They were looking elsewhere. They weren't cheering. They weren't doing anything. So in my opinion, if I watch a show that has Triple H and Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker and Kane and the people aren't into it, I'm not into it as a fan watching from my television set at home. And I don't think that it's a good idea to give them that match. I would have gladly taken some other match. Do John Cena versus The Undertaker. We don't want to see that again, but it'll create buzz. So let that happen at the Saudi Arabia show. Let the DX and the Brothers versus the Brothers of Destruction match happen at a show here in the States where the fans are going to get into it and they're going to really, really appreciate it. And I heard that they asked for the Ultimate Warrior for the Greatest Royal Rumble. And they asked for the guy with the cowboy hat. They asked for Jim Ross and didn't even know his name. So clearly, whoever's asking for this show isn't watching the product. So why would you even give them a great match like that? And as far as Shawn Michaels goes, now he's ready to return all of a sudden. So all these years he wanted to stay out of retirement because it wasn't worth coming back. But now that the pay is right, because they're making $50 million, they can offer him this big sum of money. And now all of a sudden he's ready to come back. But you wouldn't come back to face AJ Styles, Shawn? but you'll come back to do something with Triple H, which we've seen over and over and over again. And you'll come back to face The Undertaker, possibly at WrestleMania for the third time, that we've already seen twice. And more than likely, you aren't going to win. You're probably going to lose again. So we're going to see you lose to Undertaker 3 times at WrestleMania. And for what reason? Like, where does that get you other than a deeper pocket? This is what I don't understand, is that you pay these people all this money to do these one-off appearances, and it doesn't garner any additional interest. Maybe it does amongst the casual fan, but for me, I'm not watching WrestleMania to see The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. I'm not watching it to see any part-timers. Now, Ronda Rousey did do an amazing job at WrestleMania. That I will say. But I'm just sick of part-timers getting the main events. I'm sick of seeing them get the paydays and knocking guys on the show that are there every week, you know, busting their butts on live events and all that good stuff. I mean, you have Undertaker, you have Rock, you have Brock, you have Angle, you have Triple H, you have Goldberg. Now you have Ronda Rousey, but Rousey is there every week. So I wouldn't put Rousey in that category. As long as she can continue to come every week for Monday Night Raw, you know, she's doing far more than any of the other part-timers that I've seen. But Edge, Hall of Famer Edge said it best. WrestleMania main events aren't always for part-timers. And I agree with him 100%. Now, let's talk about Roman Reigns. Is Roman Reigns best for business? I'll let you answer that question. Obviously, I'm quoting Stephanie McMahon. That's one of her famous sayings, but it is a very serious question. In my opinion, as I jotted down, it's definitely a two-way street. And Roman Reigns is a star, like no doubt about it. I mean, he has the look. He's super athletic. His mic skills leave a lot to be desired. And for what it's worth, he's definitely overexposed. So let's go back to what I said about money. Okay. Roman Reigns is now the top merch seller in the country. He has topped John Cena. John Cena is now number 2. Number 3 is AJ Styles. Number 4 is Finn Balor. And number 5 is Seth Rollins. Okay. John Cena reigned over WWE for 10 years. Okay. And I say that that's because of his connection with the kids and the families and everything that he does outside of WWE with the Make-A-Wish. I mean, he's like a superhero in human form, you know? And fans rejected Cena. But, I mean, you can't deny that Cena is a mystical figure in professional wrestling. I mean, you just can't. But here's the thing. Today in wrestling, there is no room for the superhero superstar. The Hulk Hogans of wrestling are gone. We are in a completely different era of superstars, and there's no place for the superhero wrestler. We don't want to see wrestlers hulk up. We don't want to see wrestlers, you know, overcome adversity and kind of just play it off as if he didn't just have a half-hour match. You know what I mean? We want some realism there. I mean, we know wrestling's not real, but we want some realism, some edge there. And John Cena is the king of like no selling a match after he's had 25 grueling minutes going back and forth with somebody. He'll just pop up, hit the attitude adjustment, and he won the match, and he's celebrating as if nothing happened. And those days are over. The days of Hulk Hogan had been long gone. You can't just hulk up, hit a leg drop, and then celebrate as if you never had a match. And the crowd ate that stuff up. They ate it up, and they didn't even bat an eye. It's as if Hogan had some type of superpower, and it was completely okay. And that's where I feel like That's the path that I feel like Roman's going down. And is also the reason why I feel Steve Austin was so well liked. One, he had that attitude, but he could be vulnerable at times. Now, there were times where Austin had his superhero moments as well, especially when he ran down to the ring and took out the whole WWE ECW clique in the middle of the ring. I mean, 20 guys should have ganged up on him and took him out, but he went through and he got rid of everybody. But whatever. Austin came in, set up the Attitude Era. Wrestling was at its high point. He merged out and in came Triple H. Triple H was more of a heel, so we kind of got like a different feel for a top guy because Triple H is a much better heel than he is a face. And then we transitioned into John Cena. And John Cena was more or less what they were missing in Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stone Cold had attitude, you know. Cena came in and had a little bit of attitude because he had, you know, a rap career and he could rhyme and he had a gimmick. That gimmick got over, and then he won the world title. He became a company guy. All that stuff went away, and Cena just became another ordinary guy. The fans resented him. And instead of creating a new star from a new mold, we got Roman Reigns, which comes from the same mold. When Roman Reigns came in with the Shield, you know, everybody was happy. You know, they cheered Roman Reigns because he was different. He was different. He was from the Samoan family. You knew he was going to be successful. He had that intimidating look. He still does. But he actually followed in the same footsteps as John Cena. But he's not at the level of John Cena. And I don't see him ever getting to the level of John Cena. Only other, well, I guess in merchandise sales, he has reached the level of John Cena. I'm not sure if he's reached John Cena at John Cena's height, but as far as merchandise sales, he's top guy right now. And whether we like it or not, WWE is putting Roman in that spot. So I guess we just need to accept it and be happy that we have Samoan Superman in our lives, and that's what it is. And I don't dislike Roman. I don't. I just feel like he's overexposed. You know, he always finds a way to win. If he isn't winning, it's because of an interference by somebody. It's as if nobody can best him, you know, which I don't think is fair, because I think if wrestling is a competition, and any competition, you can lose on a bad day, and he just doesn't lose cleanly. I believe the only person that's beaten Roman cleanly lately is Bobby Lashley. And where's Bobby Lashley now? That win meant nothing. Lashley's not in a world title program. He's going back and forth with Elias and Kevin Owens and trying to save Lio Rush. And Roman Reigns continues to excel and excel, and he's main evented the last how many WrestleManias? 31, 32, 33, 34. We're coming up on 35, and I bet you Roman Reigns is going to be in the main event again. That's 5 straight WrestleManias. He is the Hulk Hogan. He's the John Cena. Steve Austin didn't even main event 4 straight WrestleManias. That's saying a lot, but you know what? It is what it is. WWE is going to do what they want. The money is rolling in. There's no reason to change anything, and that's just the way it is. And we're just going to have to accept it. And when are they going to realize that social media is a strong thing? Okay? We have a voice now, and we can tell you what we like, and we can tell you what we don't like, and the ratings speak for themselves. People aren't watching Monday Night Raw. They aren't watching Friday Night SmackDown. Now, I will say that SmackDown retained about 90% of Raw's audience this past week, when they typically only retain around 75% of the audience. So more people on average watch SmackDown than people watched Raw this week, which isn't 100% surprising, because SmackDown is a better booked show, in my opinion. I think Styles is a testament to that, and Samoa Joe is a testament to that. Fan favorites like Jeff Hardy, a fresh Randy Orton, and you just don't get a lot of that on Raw. I mean, Balor should be much higher up on the totem pole, especially since he's selling merch like crazy. Seth Rollins is amazing, but he's stuck in this silly, you know, Shield thing. I just think everybody should separate and they should do their own thing. But I'm not going to ramble on. I just want to thank you for watching this week's installment of Certified Slam. I am going to do this on a weekly basis. I do appreciate you stopping by. So if you enjoyed my content today, I would like you to support my channel if possible. My Patreon link, my brand new Patreon link, is in the description below. Any donation is appreciated. It's all going to help me make better content. You can also gain exclusive content that I am not going to post here on YouTube for you special people. Also, follow me on social media. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Go ahead and add me on Twitch. And most importantly, click that subscribe button and become a part of the Certified Club. Until next Friday, guys, have a good one. Peace.